So the promise they made you was simple. Go to school, get good grades. With those good grades, go to college. In college, get a good degree. With that degree, get a good stable job coming right out of college. Use that stable job, buy a house, start a family, live a happy life, retire. Those were all the promises that all of the older generation made to generations like ours. And the problem is that at this point, every single promise has been broken. Every single one has been broken. And it's not our fault. It's not our fault. My theory is that it's their fault, actually. And so today, I want to talk about what those promises are, how they were broken, what we can do to hopefully repair that, and then get you guys ideas on it. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the End Goal podcast, where I like to have conversations with people about topics that I find interesting and or educative. Today's a solo episode. I had a question about a couple of months ago that took me this long to get through and understand before I can share it with you guys. The question was, is Gen Z rejecting the older generation? Or sorry, in what ways is Gen Z rejecting the older generation? That was my question. That was a question that started my hypothesis, because it really feels like Gen Z, X, newer gens are in many ways rejecting all of the teachings, behaviors, viewpoints of the older generation, and for good measure. And for good measure. There's a reason why they're doing that, because we are a very aware generation. We are not oblivious to the issues that have been going on in previous generations that have been passed down to us, quote unquote, generational trauma. So that was the initial question that sparked this entire topic. And that's what I want to talk to with you guys today about. So the first thing is the promises, right? Go to college, you'll get a good job. Work hard, you'll be able to buy a house. Start a family, it's what you're supposed to do. Trust the institutions, they have your back. No, they don't. No, they don't. Oh, the other promise, retire, you'll be fine. No, we won't. No, we won't, right? Let's start with the first one. Go to college and you'll get a good job. I went to college. I got a degree. I got a master's. I worked for my CPA. I got a job. I'm in that same job. Am I happy? No. Am I successful? Moderately. But am I happy? No. And so you'll see that nowadays, okay, so back take, what was it, like 40, 50 years ago, the idea was that trade school and going apprenticing with other trades, whether it's HVAC, lawn care, carpentry, cobblering, tailoring, all these trades and services, back then that was the normal thing to do. You go into an apprenticeship and you get a job. You don't really have to do all this schooling. Schooling was reserved for the wealthier folk who could afford schooling and then be in the more upper, quote unquote, like not echelons, but upper parts of society. And then over time, they made schooling more accessible to the general public. So instead of going through an apprenticeship and maybe just being capped at a specific income or compensation for the rest of your life, you would go to school, and that would open up or increase the ceiling of your compensation over time. And then in the past 5-10 years, we've seen that promise implode on itself in how uh, secondary education systems or institutions started becoming so much more expensive. They started becoming very donor heavy, scholarship, not even scholarship heavy, but they just started feeling like it runs like a business. They need to make more money so they can do more things, and so they have to charge more money. And it's like, I'm going to college to get a degree so I can make money. I don't have money to spend on college like that. And the unfortunate thing is, so there was an article in Fortune. Let me find it for you guys. And they coined the term disillusionomics, right? So what is disillusionomics? Essentially, like student debt having like massively ballooned and increased over the past few years. Gen Z averages $94,101 in personal debt, the highest of any generation. Why are we in so much debt? Because we keep being told, go to college, go to college, go to college, get a degree. With that degree, you'll find a job. We'll get to that one in a second. But get a degree, you'll find a job. And so in this one, we are leaving college with six-figure debt and being unable to make six figures to pay off that debt. And now we're going to talk about that, right? I'm sure you, me, and everybody else in today's society has seen how difficult it is to get a job. Before even AI came in and people were making job listings by AI and then having AI just scan through resumes before it even hits like an actual person's eyes and things like that. Before that, the issue was that you would go to a job listing site in college as like a sophomore, junior, senior. Maybe you're looking for internships or a summer job or whatever it is, right? And an entry level job, the literal role that you are studying your ass off for, staying up all night, pulling all nighters, studying, doing the exams, doing the projects, talking to people, networking with people, the exact thing that you are working so hard for is saying we need 3 years of experience, we need 5 years of prior experience, we need 10 years of experience for this entry level job. That's what infuriated me when I was job hunting. And that's what infuriates me continuously when I see my peers and my friends who are job hunting, thinking like, what do you mean this is an entry level job and you want 3 years of experience? Where am I getting that experience if not from you? Right? So both parts of that promise are effectively broken now because if I go to college, I'm coming out with debt, but the degree isn't helping me get a job because the job is requiring more experience that I have no way of having because I spent those 4 years in college instead of maybe interning at a place for no compensation but gaining experience, or apprenticing at some place for little compensation and getting experience, or spending those 4 years doing my own thing to get the experience, that kind of thing, right? So it's like, what do you do there? And what's really, so the third way report 2025, I'll pull that one up for you guys. This was really interesting. That it's headline for Gen Z: student debt is scarier than a low paying job. Of course it is, because if you have a low paying job and student debt, you are never getting out of that debt. Unfortunately, not everybody knows how like interest and loans and things like that work, so they just take on the debt and then they're stuck paying it because they don't know how to pay it down, what the most effective methods are. And even going into it, they're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this, that kind of stuff, right? And so a lot of people now, like, I mean, you'll see, I think the online trend is a like pushback against this broken promise where people are saying stop going to college if you don't think that's for you, start your own business, do your own trade services are making so much money right now, start your own business. You don't have to have a college degree to do something on your own, and you don't have to have a college degree to power wash people's like driveways and homes. You don't have to have a college degree to mow lawns. You don't have to have a college degree to like do HVAC. You don't have to have a college degree to start your own moving and shipping company, things like that, right? Your own trash company, things like that. You don't have to have college degrees to do that. And so people are going towards this thinking that like, even if it's going to take me maybe longer to hit my six-figure number, at least I'm not six figures in debt. And so promise number one, right? Go to school, get a good what's it called? Go to school, get a good job. I'm like, no, I won't get a good job anymore because I just got laid off of this one and nobody else is hiring. And if they're hiring, they want 5 years experience when I'm like a fresh college graduate. Or I've only been in the field for 2 to 3 years, then I got laid off because of, you know, people wanted to replace me with AI that isn't working. Let's move on to the second promise, guys. The second promise: work hard and you'll be able to buy a house. Oh my God, I will be candid with you. I don't think buying a house was the best decision that I've made in my life. I do not think that. It was a decision that I stubbornly pushed through, and by luck and the grace of God, I was able to buy a house without, extremely putting myself into a financial bind. And that was back in 2023 and early 2024 when I was, end of 2023, early 2024, when I was hunting and hunting and hunting and working through the process. And I would not necessarily go back and do that again. I will say the reason I wanted a house is because I love having my own space. I'm someone who is so aggressively sensitive and aware to other people, and so a lot of the times living with roommates or living in a solo apartment, but knowing that like there's two people on either side of me in terms of across the walls, or people living above and below me, I wouldn't want to yell, laugh really loudly, like dance and jump around in my apartment, or do anything that I think would be considered a bother to anybody else. And the house removes all of that for me. I can do whatever I want in my house. I can jump around, I can break dance, I can play loud music, I can just talk to you guys and have a good chat. I can talk with guys on Discord and yell and scream and whatever it is. I can do that in the house. But that was the main reason. I think, well, actually, there were other reasons along with it. But if I were to go back and do it again, I honestly probably wouldn't. Because housing prices have just increased so much. Every new build is like a developer neighborhood build where it's like middle upper six figures to even buy it. So it's not affordable for anybody who's not making like 3 to 500K to comfortably buy one of these new build houses, right? And if you want to buy an old build, like an older house, it's cheaper, but then it comes with a lot of renovations and things like that, right? So with the increased price of housing, but also the increased price of service businesses, whether it's roofing, foundation repair, plumbing, all that stuff, those prices have also increased. You're looking at like buying a house for 100K and spending 50K on it to like repairs and soup it up, if not more. So like work hard and you'll be able to buy a house. So many of my friends have worked so hard in their life and they don't want to buy a house because they're like, it's just no point. There's just no point in buying a house right now. It's so expensive. I would rather put that money towards traveling or living in an apartment or renting and then just having a family that way. It's cheaper to rent instead of having a mortgage and things like that. And then having to deal with all the mess ups of a house that you don't want to have to deal with. So work hard, you'll be able to buy a house. No, you won't. Right? No, you won't. So there was a 2024 article from the Federal Reserve saying that the median 30-year-old's net worth is 40% lower than what boomers had at the same age. And I know we do this like generational comparison a lot, where we'll see like at our age, what were our parents doing? How much did their money buy them? All that stuff, right? Because the advice we get from the older generation is buy a house. It's an asset. It appreciates. That's what I did, and now I have money. Yeah, well, it was like 50K to buy a house when you were my age. It has like quadrupled in size at the very least at this point. There's another article / poll, and I'll pull this up for you guys. This one was really interesting. These are all very interesting. I'm really glad I did this type of research because it's really, really, for lack of a better word, fun. But 70% of aspiring homeowners are delaying at least one major life decision, marriage, children, career changes, until they can afford to buy. By buy, we mean buy a house. That's tough. I don't want to get married until I can buy a house and start a family. I don't want to change jobs because this job currently might be able to help me buy a house. And I need the income from this job to save up, to build up a nest egg, to put a down payment on a house. And then maybe I can like figure out the mortgage after that. More than half of aspiring homeowners believe they'll be 40 years or older when they purchase their first home. Their first home. So I think what is scary is maybe not scary, definitely interesting. As our average life expectancy or age expectancy has increased, right? People want to go back to the 17, 18, and 1900s to live in, but the life expectancy was lower than it is now. But as we've been growing older and living longer, I feel like the checkpoints of each generation, or the major checkpoints of life, has been also extending into the later years, right? Because in your teens you were working at the family place, you were running mail routes, you were pitching in somewhere somehow, making a little bit of cash for the family, things like that. Then in your 20s, you had enough to like maybe like um to start dating, get your own place, get married, start a kid in your 20s. Then in your 30s, you're like, okay, we have a kid. Where maybe you're a one income household, but because I have a wife and she's taking care of the home, I can go grind all day as a man and have enough to like put this kid through whatever they need to do, or like provide for my family. And oh, now we saved up enough for, now we have a house. So in their like late 20s, maybe early 30s, they're already buying a house. And then in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're like enjoying life, they're working, whatever it is. A lot of the older generation are workaholics for this reason. That's not happening. That's not happening. In your teens, you're digging around in high school, unless you're one of those teens who just like finds an interest in like coding and builds an app, or starts their own, like, has an interest and starts their own businesses or things, starts selling things on the side. Then you're told to go to college. You go to community college, you go to public school, you go to private college, whatever it is. That takes you into your early 20s. After your early 20s, then you start actually working your entry level job. And a lot of the jobs early on, depending on what uh, field you're in, long hours, you're slogging, you're giving up your 20s to gain experience, in quotes, and build up skills. Now, I will say, your biggest asset in life is your skill set. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But what we're seeing right now is, when we try to do the same thing the previous generation did, which is give up years of your life to build skills and then leverage those skills for higher income and higher paying things, it's just not as repeatable as everybody makes it out to me. It's not as easy as everybody makes it. It was never easy, but it doesn't feel like it's working, right? It just doesn't feel like it's working. And so now we are not getting married until our late 20s, after years of schooling or years of working or things like that. Um, we're not buying a house until our 30s, maybe. Maybe. We're not starting a family until we feel comfortable we can provide for the family, which includes like house, car, any other payments, whatever it is. That's in your 30s again. The average age of having a kid has been pushed from the 20s to the 30s now. And then in your 40s, you're like, okay, now what do I do? I want to talk about that later, though. I had an interesting conversation with somebody yesterday that I kind of wanted to bring up. Promise number 3: start a family is what you're supposed to do. We kind of touched on this earlier. 47 of adults under 50 without children say they're unlikely to ever have them, which is up 10 points from 2018. This is an article from Pew in 2023, and that number is probably higher now, but I didn't exactly check, so apologies on that. But it was actually astounding, the amount of friends that I have that have said, yeah, I don't plan to have kids. I really just don't plan to have kids. Because I always thought that was like the thing. That's what you're supposed to do, in a sense. Like, you grow up, you live your life, you have a kid, and then you live their life. And that's what you do. But nowadays, people are like, what was it? There was something, yeah, there was an article that I really liked. It was something like, because of climate concerns, political commentary, or political policy concerns, housing concerns, and a fourth concern that I'll try and find the article, maybe to detail it more. People don't want to have kids because they're like, I don't want to bring a kid into this world. It's kind of annoying. Oh, the social media technology screen in front of your face like all the time, heightened anxiety concerns. They don't want to bring a kid into this world. I completely get that. I completely understand why people don't want to do that. It makes sense. It really does. It's like why would I bring a child into the world that I myself don't feel ready to be ready to take care of it. And then, like, we're both going to be under a lot of pressure, literally. I'm a parent for the first time. You're a kid for the first time. We're both under a lot of pressure. I grew up with anxiety, so I still have it, and now you are the target of my anxiety. That sucks. I would not wish that upon anybody, truly. Oh, and the cost of raising kids, bro. When I heard this stat for the first time, I I think my wife told me this at some point, and she was like, "You know how much it costs?" No, it wasn't that. It was the podcast we did with Ja'Cory earlier in the year. I talked to my wife about it, and she expanded upon it. I think the cost of bringing a kid into this world is like between 25 and 50K in terms of expenses, and that's why you have insurance and things like that. And then the cost of daycare is like almost six figures, is what I saw. I actually want to see what the most recent cost of daycare. What is that number coming out to? Okay, I was overestimating it, and I'm sorry. But we're looking at. I definitely rage baited right there. I'm so sorry. I definitely rage baited right there. But I'm looking at. I'm trying to find a website that doesn't look like it's like built by AI. But what I'm seeing is about 15 to 20K per year of just childcare. Now imagine you make 100K and you bring home, after taxes, let's say about 60 to 70K, depending on the level of withholding, 401K, and insurance that's being taken out of your paycheck. Let's just say you bring back like 60 to 70K. Childcare being not childcare, daycare itself being a third of your cost of the entire take-home income is rough. That is rough. That is actually rough. And that's 100K. Most people aren't making 100K. People are making actually between 50 and 60K. So imagine that, right? 60K, take a third off that, 40K. And if childcare is 15 to 20K, that is roughly like a fourth to a half of your entire take-home income put into daycare. I wouldn't want to bring a child into the world like that, because I got to go work to support for the child, and I can't put the child in daycare because I can't afford that. So what do I do? It's really, really scary in that sense. We all know the fertility numbers, right? Like the sorry, something started beeping around me and I got very distracted. So the fertility numbers, right? I think, what is it? Korea is the country with the lowest birth rate right now, and it's like really, really scary. On average, I found an article that said U.S. fertility rates sit at about 1.7 births per woman, below the 2.1 replacement rate. Replacement rate being like how many kids are you having to replace the amount of people, I believe, who are passing away, or either that or replacing people who like have to exit the workforce. How many people are being born to then replace the workforce? One of those two. So that is also kind of scary. Like, we're obviously not having kids because we don't want to bring kids in this world because everything's too expensive. And at some point, we're going to get to the point where we don't have enough people in the workforce to boost and keep the economy up. And that might worsen the economy and make things more expensive and or, ruin more things for us. And then there's going to be an entire cycle. That is nerve-wracking. We're getting off the point, and I'm going to move on here. But promise number 3, start a family is what you're supposed to do. We're not doing that. We, as in a collective, a lot of people are deciding, I just don't want kids. I just don't. I want to live my life, and that's it. And I think that's completely fine. It is not a selfish decision to want to live your life and not bring another life into this world. If anybody has ever told you that, let me be the first to tell you, it is not a selfish decision. It is very understandable. Promise number 4 is trust the institutions. They have your back. Confidence in higher education cratered to a historic low of 36% by 2024, a Fortune article. Johns Hopkins SNF Agora survey in 2026, younger Americans express deeper dissatisfaction with how the political system functions, trust political parties less, and believe the system needs a significant change. Shout out my man's Zoran Mamdani in Mamdanistan up in New York. He is basically change catalyst that everybody has needed and has been feeling for a while. Like everybody's distrust of the system and frustration with politicians and stuff that had been bottled up inside literally just bubbled up and exploded into Zoran Mamdani. That's my thought on how everything goes. And that's true. And that's true. Like people always insult capitalism. People say capitalism is like the worst thing ever. And in some ways, there's incentives. It incentivizes other institutions to just want to make money because they need to make money to keep running. And if they can't make money, they can't keep running. And not every single billionaire is going to give every single institution a payout or a loan out or a bailout, rather. You know what I'm saying? So things like that are also just really, really frustrating. And I myself haven't encountered this issue a ton in my own life. I feel like because I grew up sheltered, because I grew up very like protected by my parents, I didn't feel the pain of a distrustful institution. Did I feel it a little bit in college when I would go to classes and I'd be like, why do I have to take this? This is useless. Why do I have to pay so much for college for taking these classes when what I'm learning in class does not translate one single bit to the job that I'm trying to get? Yes. Do I feel that when I will go to, like, I've had other jobs before my current one, and going there and seeing how it's run and how it works, or seeing from friends and other people in my circle, seeing how their companies are run and what they have to go through, and thinking, yeah, no, like nobody cares about a person, they just want the business to keep running. It's really unfortunate, and it makes me very like, is apathetic the right word? Yeah, having or exhibiting little or no emotion, devoid of strong feeling. Insensible? No. Indifferent. That is a good word. It makes me feel very indifferent towards it in the sense that like I'm just so numbed to the feeling now that, you know, somebody's like, oh, this bad thing happened in my job. I'm like, yeah, tracks. This bad thing happened in this state. Tracks. Texas outlawing abortion. Tracks. I grew up in Texas. States suck when it comes to policies. Tracks. All of it tracks. It's a very numbing feeling. And dude, these promises sucks. Oh my god, the retirement one? Oh, I just remembered. Guys, the whole retirement thing, right? We might not even have Social Security when we retire. We probably won't. Social Security is not for us. We're just paying into it for them. And we might not get to have the benefits of that which we are working for. You know what I mean? Because people are having less kids, meaning less people entering the workforce, meaning when we're older and we're trying to get Social Security, there are less workers who are making money in order to, in order to pay into that Social Security bucket. That's crazy. That is crazy. Is that not crazy? All those 5 promises that we've been told in the past, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, you'll be happy. We're not happy. Some people can become successful, but they are not happy. And I think one of the biggest goals in life is to be happy. And you can achieve a level of happiness through success, but at the end of the day, how much of your success is making you unhappy versus being happy, right? And I think a lot of these claims, they would say like, if you do these things, you'll lead a happy life. It's completely wrong. If you do these things, you might lead a successful life. If you do some of these things, you might lead a successful life. Is really how I think about it. That's really how I think about it. I was talking to a friend last night, and they are in their 30s, and they're in a job that they just absolutely hate at this point. They're like, why am I doing this? Why do I continue to do this? But their why is they're a first generation like immigrant here. They have to work in order to support their kids and make sure their kids are raised are doing fine. And then they've been doing this for so long that they're like, I don't even know what I like anymore. I don't know what else I can do. I don't like anything else, I think. I don't even know what else I would do because I've been doing this for so long. And it's like, okay, well, they have a well-paying job that has allowed them to have a home, that has allowed them to start a family. And while they're maybe content in some ways, they're just unhappy sometimes because they have to spend 8-10 hours doing something they don't want to do. And I hear that exact story play out in so many other people, my life included. And so it's like, how do we build this change? Like what can we change? What can we do to like fix this, improve this, reduce the harmful effects of this? I don't know the exact answer there. All of this is like my research and my thesis and my thoughts, but like I really want to know like what can we do to get over this a little bit, right? And before we get in, like as we get into the next section, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was kind of like, we just talked about the promises, the broken promises. There's a new trap that we're kind of falling into now, in my opinion. Another reason why like Gen Z is not in this way, not rejecting the older generation, but Gen Z is rejecting like corporations, society, institutions, and things like that. So the new trap is kind of what I call it. The new trap is social media. The new trap is technology. The new trap is AI. The new trap is um, flexing. The new trap is, uh, you know, bots, all that stuff. So this is how I see it, right? Awareness doesn't equal immunity. Social media replaced the old promises with the new ones. You should have this lifestyle. You should have this car. This is the amount of money that you should have in your bank account. Look at my life. Look at what I have. If you want what I have, sign up for my online coaching course and I will coach you very poorly and in an unrepeatable way to get what I have. And if it doesn't work for you, so sorry. Results may vary. The amount of times that I see that online, like the amount of times that like why you're stuck at this dollar amount, why you're stuck in life, why you're stuck um, in your business, why you're stuck, why can't you find a new job, why you're stuck, why you're stuck, why you're stuck, pay me and I'll help you. No, they won't. No, they won't. But we are so like hardwired to think that because something is going wrong in our life and we just don't know, like we don't know how to fix it or improve it, or currently because of all the energy that's being sucked up and sucked out by social media, we don't have the energy to put forth to trying to fix it. We think simply paying somebody else to tell us what to do will fix it, and it won't. And it won't. It won't fix it. It will never fix it. Paying somebody else to fix your problems doesn't work because they're not going to fix your problems. Problems are going to exist, or new problems will spring up. You won't know how, because you didn't learn how to address your previous problems. You just paid somebody to do it. When the new problems arise, you're going to pay somebody else to fix their new problems too, and it sucks. What is this? There was an article in Chinos in March that the youngest workers think they need to earn almost $600,000 a year to be financially successful. A very distorted perception driven by constant exposure to curated wealth online, right? People renting out really beautiful Airbnbs and saying, look at how I live in this really nice Airbnb in this tropical land, um, looking very comfortable and very attractive in this posed picture. Look at this car that I don't actually own. I just rented it out so I could take really cool pictures with it and then tell you um, how I didn't make a six-figure business in 4 days in order to afford this, right? Um, and so there's this like aggressive flexing and fake wealth issue going on that I think has just in the past year started to pop, but it's not, it popped, but the effects are still there. And the fake flexing and the fake wealth trend kind of flowed into a second trend. The second trend is hyper-consumerism online. This is kind of how it goes, right? Instead of saying um, look at my life, look how successful I am, look at all the stuff that I have. I'll teach you how to get it through fake online coaching and or bots. They now say, forget about what I have. Let me tell you what you should have. Let me tell you what you should want and how you can get it. I'm giving all this stuff away for quote unquote free. You just have to buy this product with my affiliate link. Right? That's why like Meta ads, Instagram ads, TikTok shop ads are so just everywhere. Because now that we're chronically online and we think that like, you know, maybe where I'm content in my job and I just want to scroll for a little bit. Ooh, I see this ad for this cute little thing that's only like $9 on like TikTok shop because I saw somebody's video about it. I'm gonna go get it. $9 purchase 1 week, $20 purchase the second week, $30 purchase the fourth week. By like 2 months later, you're like, oh, this bag that this influencer is wearing is so cute. I really have to have it. These shoes that this guy's wearing are so fire. I really need to get it. And I feel like we've transitioned to this age of like hyper consumerism. You have doom scrolling. I like to call it doom spending. So doom spending is essentially an impulsive spending as a psychological coping mechanism, not just a rational behavior. So the same way you doom scroll to numb your feelings of anxiety, depression, feeling stuck, upsetment, whatever it is, or just after a long day's hard work, you just want to come home and doom scroll. That is now coupled with now you're already in this numbed, apathetic, just vegetative state. And then you see an ad for something. And since they've already made you feel emotions through the various things you've been scrolling, you're so much more susceptible to being influenced by somebody else online at this point. So somebody's saying, you need this thing. If you are XYZ type of person, you need this. And you're like, oh, maybe I do need this because they're telling me I need this. They wouldn't tell me I need this if I didn't actually need this. Let me get this. It comes in like 2 days later because of aggressively fast shipping. Wow, this is so cool. I really needed this. And then you put that thing down for the rest of your life after like 4 days. Tell me you haven't done this. I've done it. We've all done it. I'm not saying I'm exempt from this, by the way. I'm not saying that I'm exempt from this. I'm just saying we need to stop this. We need to really get ahead of this and be more aware of this. There's an article in PAD Therapy NY in 2025. Let me find that article for you guys. And the crux of the article essentially is saying like, the doom spender is essentially saying, the world is on fire. What am I saving my money for? Right? I'm not going to buy a house anyway. I got money put away for investments. Or even if I don't have money put away for investments, why do I need to save money for investments? I'm not going to be on this earth for long. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. How many times have you heard somebody say that? So I'm going to go buy that $500 bag. I'm going to go buy that $2,000 trip for 1 week or 4 days to that one resort spot. I'm going to go buy this experience, that experience. I'm going to go buy this thing that this influencer told me online. I'm going to go fill my vanity up with makeup I don't need, with skincare I don't need because the last one was working just fine. I'm going to go fill up my closet with every single pair of new shoes that comes out from Nike or any other shoe brand that I don't need. I'm going to put them in a glass box because I can't. And because I don't need to, but I want to. It makes me feel really, really good to do that. Wow. How much money did I spend on that? Damn. Am I eating today? No. But I got shoes in my closet. You know what I mean? That part is scary because that has also fed into aggressive amounts of money dysmorphia. 69% of people with money dysmorphia say they don't think they'll ever be rich. 95% say that the obsession negatively impacts their finances, holding them back from saving, investing, buying a home, and instead leads to overspending and more debt. What I do want to say, I want to give kudos where kudos should be given, right? because of how many people are just online and talking and yapping, you have people who are part of the problem, and you have people who are trying to combat the problem. And I shout out to the people who are trying to combat the problem. There's now, I think this year, end of last year, is where I saw it on my FYPs and stuff, of people actively talking about this stuff. Like, don't buy everything you see online. It is really bad quality. Yes, it's cheap. It's bad quality. Don't buy it. You're just gonna be rebuying something later after it breaks. But first of all, don't buy everything you see online. um, Credit Karma put out a report saying that like 88% of Gen Z say they've been de-influenced, deciding not to buy things they see advertised. Like, every single thing that looks good can't be good. I'm not going to buy that. And so this new trap of social media has been so scary. So scary. Do you guys know how social media affects your emotions? If you don't, let me just share this thing with you. This might resonate a lot. So the way social media works is it's incentivized to keep you in the app. Say you're scrolling TikTok. TikTok is incentivized to keep you in that app, meaning that it needs to keep you hooked. And the way that anything hooks you in life is through emotions. Excitement, anger, sadness, joy, laughter, tearing up, whatever it is, right? So it needs to feed you not the same thing every single time, not 5 depressing videos at a time, or 5 anger-inducing videos at a time, or 5 happy videos at a time. It needs to feed you one of each in a short amount of time to keep your attention locked into that app. Over the span of 30 minutes, you've probably been influenced to feel like a spectrum of 8 to 10 different emotions, if not more. We're not built for that, guys. We're not built for that. We're not built to feel 8 to 10 different emotions in the span of 20 seconds. Dr. K put it the best, and I have to attribute this to him because this is where I learned it from. He said the reason why we feel so tired and exhausted and we wake up so tired and exhausted is because when you come home from work and you've had a long day, you want to relax. But the way we've been taught, or the way that we've been wiring ourselves to relax, is scrolling on social media. Emotional changes in our body is exhausting. It's tiring in and of itself. Even though you're not physically moving, the emotional changes that your body is feeling in itself, in it of itself, is also exhausting. So you think you're relaxing, yet you're putting your mind through all these different like emotional states that's further exhausting you in a bad way, so that when you go to sleep, your mind is like triggered, your mind is upset, your mind is not calm, it is not relaxed, it is hypersensitive. And then you wake up really tired. You're like, why did I get a bad night's sleep? All I did when I came home from work was just eat food and scroll on my phone. I didn't do anything. Why am I so tired? He expanded upon that with a better example, which is, why do you feel so tired when you have a day off from work, like on the weekend, and all you've done is scroll and sit on your bed and sit on your couch all day? It is because you're sitting on your bed scrolling and all day that you're feeling so tired, because feeling emotions is exhausting. And so feeling a large range of emotions is so exhausting. It is painful. Not painful, but it is very exhausting to do that all the time. And now we do that all the time. It is also very numbing. And I want to get to that now. And I guess kind of explain my own experience, right? I was definitely a Gen Zer who did all the promises. I'm successful, moderately, but I'm very not happy, right? I don't enjoy the job that I'm in, that I studied for 5 years for, and got trained in a license for. Um, Physically, I'm, in my opinion, very out of shape, because all those years of working and then getting injured over time made me very, like, not bitter, but a bit fearful and a bit just tired of the gym. So I stopped going to the gym. And so physically, I'm just not the most fit, which then contributes to all these problems. I myself am like really bad with doom scrolling, but not necessarily like, I don't doom scroll as much. My issue is stimming and numbing, and predominantly through like YouTube videos, streams, and things like that. Like I always need something going on in the background, quote unquote. I think that I need something going on in the background in order to do the task at hand. But what that's doing is just overloading my sensory system and what happens is like I'll wake up in the morning, and this is a real thing. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll grab my phone first thing. First thing I want to do in the morning is post whatever videos I have to post, like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram, just to get that out of the way. So I do that, and then but the first thing I've done is gone into an app, meaning there's a very real chance that I'll click on other people's stories, that I'll scroll just a little bit before I even post or after I post on any given app, or I'll look at metrics or whatever it is. I put screens and data and analytics and scrolling into my day right off the bat. Or the second thing, I'll get up, head to the bathroom, start brushing my teeth, but I won't just do it quietly, like without anything. I'll grab my phone, go to YouTube, what's the video, play the video in the background. And so what that does is it just like it wakes me up and puts me into an immediate exhausted state of mind that I have to like claw my way out of to get over, to like function normally throughout the day. And I know it's my fault. I know it's my fault. And it's so hard to get out of it. Like I'm one of these people, which is why like I really wanted to do this research to see like how bad is it out there compared to what I'm feeling in here. You know, I constantly like explain to people that like I'll explain to people what my hobbies are. Last night when I was talking to this friend, I was explaining to them like everything that I do, because I said like it is just very hard to manage everything, and she's like, and they said, what do you do? I said, well, I'm an accountant, a tax accountant. It's my day job. I also create book content online. I also have a podcast that I like to talk to guests and interview them and host and have conversations like this. I also I'm also starting and trying to run my own online clothing store based on designs that I make and stuff like that. That's 4 things. I just added a 5th one in the form of an app that I really want to work on and build as like an even side thing. So there's 5 things that are in my life taking up my time, my energy, my bandwidth, my emotional bandwidth, and my physical bandwidth before we even get to needing to go for walks and go to Taekwondo and do any sort of physical activities that help promote good health. Doesn't even include the time that I want to and need to spend with my family because it's important to me, right? And so I know that I have an issue with splitting my focus in too many different directions, and it's just I'm unable to currently like shrink that. I'm working on it. I really am. It's a daily struggle. I'm working on it. I'm just unable to do that right now. But the crux of it is I just keep trying different things. Some of them work, some of them don't. And so it's like the things that don't work, I have a really hard time of just saying, stop that. It's not working. Why are you continuing to do it? But I want to. Maybe it will work if I just try a little bit harder. No, stop it. It's not working. Go do something else. Or take that and put it into one of the other things that you're already doing that is working. Do that instead. The age old advice of stop doing what isn't working and do what's working instead. I don't listen to that stuff. That's my own issue. And so like my whole like mental struggle for the past 2-3 years has been I feel like I'm trying everything, but nothing is working. I know that I'm not alone in that. I'm sure that a lot of other people feel like that. But it is really tough having to, confront that daily. This isn't working. I don't know what to do. This isn't working. Why I keep trying. Why does nothing work? Ugh, But luckily we're not alone. We have each other. And this is kind of how I counteract a lot of those issues. Welcome to the last part. It's called the solutions. There are a couple of things that I've loved doing over the years that bring me back, ground me again, help me see through all the fog, and just kind of help me clean up and develop my compass. Not like a checklist, not a specific plan, but at least a compass to show me what direction I need to go. So the first one I call it the pause. So there were days in the past when I was living alone where I would take a day off work, not to go anywhere, but just to spend the day the way I want to spend it. Like really just pause my life and just say, how do I want to spend today? And then I would do that. The most recent one was I think in 2024, or maybe it was around my birthday, I don't remember. But I just wanted to vlog the day. I just vlogged the day. I went to go work out. I cooked. I cleaned a little bit. I edited some videos. I went to a bookstore. I read that day, and I was like, I just need to spend a day doing things like this. And I did days like that, and I did that, and I didn't think about like, oh, this is going to set me behind at work. This is going to set me behind in my goals. This is going to set me back in life, etc. And the fact that I didn't use a weekend for that, but I specifically took time off work to do that, I think is a more important thing, because you're showing yourself and telling yourself, life is telling me, society is telling me, I'm telling myself, you should be working today. Today's a standard work day. But what do I want to do today? Not that. And I have the power to do that. I have the ability to do that. I have the ability to change how I feel in ways like this. So I will do that periodically, because the weekends can get busy and you can't do everything in 2 days. You use the weekend to rest and relax, but then also to do everything else in your life that you can't do during the weekday because you just come home late or you work too much. You spend the weekend trying to hang out with friends, but then also trying to do chores, but then also trying to relax, and then also catch up on XYZ things like bills or different documents that you have to like sign or emails you have to catch up on and things like that. And you spend your weekend working to relax instead of relaxing from work. And this pause helps you take one of those days to actively relax. And I love that, and I would highly recommend doing that. And there are a couple of articles that I found on this too, right? From Wiley. It's called Deconstructing Solitude. They say that research shows solitude fosters reflection, self-growth, and freedom from social demands. Many people associate solitude with discomfort because it brings hidden emotions to the surface, the term ludacity. Some people will do a digital detox. I don't necessarily call it that, but I do try and stay off my phone. Or maybe I'll listen to more music that day than I will like podcasts and other like stimming things that day. And then this is supposed to help you kind of find your compass. Take a breather, take a time in that day to like sit down and grab a pen and paper and just ask yourself a few questions, right? Am I happy? Not am I fine, but am I happy? What would I want to spend my day doing if money and judgment and societal pressures didn't exist? What drains my energy? What gives me energy? How much of what I want is actually mine versus what I'm being told by on a screen? That's a big one. Like, do I actually want these things or do I not? What do I actually want in life to do? And then I think that helps you like create your compass of like enough of these pauses throughout like a year, and I feel like you, me, and a lot of us would be able to find a new direction to put our energies towards in life. 4 pauses in a year, and all those pauses you've been like hinting at the same thing, not the job that I want. So you know that the next step is find something else to leave it for, not the city that I want to live in. That's understandable. You can move. It has become so easy to uproot your life and plant it somewhere else. And planting it in the right soil will hopefully let you grow and bloom and blossom even brighter than you were in your previous location. And so, ending this with, let's all take stock of where we're at in life. Like, really take inventory of where you're at, who you are, what you want, and ask yourself honestly, am I happy? Is this what I want? Can I change it right now? If I can, when can I? How can I? What do I need to do in order to be able to change it? Right? So that you don't feel stuck. You just feel like you're in a, like, you're not stuck. You're just moving very slowly, because we're always moving. And then you have to show up for yourself daily. This is something that I fail at constantly, and I write down in my journal a lot. I will not choke up while saying this, but yeah, I fail daily fights daily, all the time, daily technically. How many dailies can you say in one sentence? But I think the most important thing is just getting up and trying again, but actively trying. I think one of the things that it's really easy to do is fail one day and say, I'll just try again tomorrow, but not spend the entirety of that initial day where you failed thinking, how can I not fail tomorrow? What do I need to put in place to not fail tomorrow? What causes my, like, not actively thinking about that, So take inventory, wake up, start fighting every single day. I'm here with you. And I wanted to share this metaphor with you guys. I love this metaphor so much, and I had to share it with you guys. I'm sorry. I know this is going on, but I just had to share this with you guys, and I hope you enjoy the metaphor. Have you guys ever seen a stream of crystal clear water? There are times when you'll see like the water moving, and it's so clear and the flow is so clean that it looks like the water is just frozen. It looks like the water isn't moving because it is in such a flow state. And that's how I kind of like to think about, that's how I like to remind myself sometimes in life when I think things are moving so slowly, or that I'm stuck, or nothing's progressing, or I don't see improvement, progress, or whatever it is. I remind myself, just because I don't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. I could just be flowing at the exact pace that I need to be flowing, and it looks like I'm standing still, but I'm still moving forward and I'm still flowing. And I love that. I love that so much. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that little, not little. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the topic for today. If you did, let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, share this with somebody who you think would enjoy the insights and the information and all that stuff. I'll come back with another topic. I have a few in mind actually, because this was one of the first ones that I was like, I really want to dig into this, and then we can talk about it. And I'm glad I did. But if you enjoyed it, let me know. And keep working, keep working. If you face any of this stuff in your own life, dude, I'm here for you. We're all here for you. You have a support system. At least here, this guy right here, this face right here, your support system. But if you don't know what to do, reach out to somebody, ask somebody, what do I do? How do I fix this? I just keep spitting off advice. I don't need to. If you've made it this far, then consider also maybe following me everywhere else. By everywhere else, I just mean all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, at The End Goal Podcast. I have a Substack called The End Goal, where I share a lot of small things like this, just in written form, because I think it's just nice to write something once a week. It's something that I enjoy doing just for myself, but I thought other people might also enjoy that, or at least maybe I can help somebody else. Who knows? So I have a Substack also called The End Goal, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.